You found it. Your home for the best content on your favorite team, the Fighting Tigers of LSU. Do us a favor. Subscribe to the channel. Leave your comments below. Be sure to smash that like button. Last week, we went through Mel Kiper's big board, his updated big board. And not only the big board, but the top-rated prospects at each position, and kind of told you why it bode well for LSU, potentially get a lot of players back next year. And again, that's just one man's opinion. So I tend to say, okay, is there validation elsewhere? Like, are other people who cover this closely suggesting the same thing? Well, Todd McShay put up his updated prospect rankings for the upcoming draft, so his top 32 prospects and then the top 5 at each position. He does have an LSU player in the top 32 prospects, and it's B.J. Ojulari. That might be surprising to some. Kayshon Boutte was in everybody's top 10. This year hasn't gone for Kayshon like certainly he hoped and many of us thought it might. But for BJ, this is an awesome illustration of a guy continuing to ascend, right? Came here during the COVID year, had a really nice freshman year, and despite not having great team success the first 2 years, played well, stuck it out, and now in this, his junior year, he's going back to his home state there in Georgia, going to play for an SEC championship against the University of Georgia, and is really lining up to be a first-round draft pick, which is awesome to see. So, congrats to B.J. Ojulari on an awesome season. Stay healthy these next few games. Have a great pre-combine, combine, pro day, all that stuff. Go be your first-round pick and make all your dreams come true. I have no doubt that when Kayshon Boutte goes and meets with teams and runs for the clock and does the combine and all that stuff, his draft stock will elevate. Kayshon's going to be back in first-round conversation. I believe Kayshon and B.J. will both be first-round picks in this spring's draft. After that, everything gets hairy. Mentioned to you last week that Kiper has Jaden Daniels as the 9th best quarterback available in the draft. There's some other players mixed in. Jaquelin Roy's kind of down the list on defensive tackles. But there isn't much. And it keeps bringing me back to this point that, man, I really think you're going to have a conversion of circumstance that's going to lead LSU to potentially having the best roster in college football next year. I don't want to be presumptive, and I certainly don't want to jump the gun and be hyperbolic. But I'm looking at a team right now that arrived more quickly than anybody thought it would. Me included. I had this team at 8-4. I thought they'd be 4-4 in the league, 8-4 overall, and you'd see Brian Kelly build. But he has seen that sort of flow chart just continue on an upward trajectory throughout this season. They have gotten better. They were better in October than they were in September. They're better in November than they were in October, and hopefully they're better in December than they are right now. But when I look at what you have coming back, you're going to return your starting 5 offensive linemen, actually your first 6 if you include Dellinger and Miles Frazier. Your first 6 offensive linemen are coming back. Your starting tight end is right now a freshman in Mason Taylor, who is the personification of what I just described of getting better. I mean, he's the guy who was known in season opener for whiffing on the block PAT against Florida State. Then against Bama, he's catching the game winner and a touchdown. Mason Taylor's back. Malik Neighbors, Jack Besh, Brian Thomas, Kyron Lacey, Chris Hilton, all back at receiver, and you're going to add to that group. At running back, you're going to get potentially everybody back at running back and then supplement with 2 really good freshmen coming in. Defensive line, Mekhi Wingo's back. You're going to get Mason Smith healthy. Let's see what happens with Roy and Guillory. You could get all those guys back and then supplement with young guys behind them. You're losing Ali Gay, you're losing B.J. Ojulari, but my goodness, Savion Jones has been awesome. Quincy Wiggins hasn't played at all this year because of the foot injury. You're going to get him next year. Xavier Carter has been good. Need I even mention Harold Perkins? If you want to count him as an end or a linebacker or the jack, whatever it may be, he's been incredible. Yeah, you're losing Baskerville. You're going to lose Mike Jones, but man, Greg Penn's back. Harold Perkins is back. You've seen a ton of DeMario Tolan. And listen, quietly, I don't know if you noticed this. Now, I would challenge you this on this weekend, Saturday. Pay attention on defense how many times 32 is on the field. DeMario Tolan had back surgery, and so it delayed his progress this year. But DeMario Tolan is playing more and more, and Brian Kelly even said this earlier this week, that they challenged Greg Penn. They said, look, Young Buck is coming for you. You better step it up. What did Greg Penn do? Had his best game of the year. Led the team in tackles. And Tolan still played a ton. So linebacker, you're going to be really good. I think they're set at nickel and safety. Greg Brooks, it looks like he's coming back. Sage Ryan is there. You are going to be super talented. You're going to have to go address some spots in the portal. And we've talked about this. You're losing Mekhi Gardner. You're losing Bernard-Converse. You're losing Colby Richardson. The only two corners you had back were Radarius Jones, Demarius McGee. Neither has played this year. Word is they're ineligible. You signed two cornerbacks last year, including LaTerrence Welch. So you are going to have to go hit the transfer portal for corners. Now, Sevyn Banks likely is coming back. So if he's healthy, you may have a stud veteran guy there, but you're going to have to hit the portal there. I've been told they're likely going to look for some offensive line depth in the portal and likely maybe an edge player. But this roster, y'all, in particular if you get Jaden Daniels back, we've talked about Senior Day being this weekend against UAB, and they're going to honor 17 players, and a lot of them are names you've heard a bunch over the years. Todd Harris, who's battled injuries but has persevered, and it's going to be awesome to honor him. Jay Ward has been a really good player. Jeray Jenkins has had some huge catches, had the game winner against A&M a year ago. Ali Gay, who we've talked about. Micah Baskerville, who just has been the heart and soul of the defense. Cam Wire, who has played a bunch, has sort of rotated different sides of the ball, but sort of lost his spot. Then you got the transfers. Mike Jones, Colby Richardson, Jarek Bernard-Converse, Joe Fouché, Mekhi Gardner are all going to be honored. Jay Ward, who's a fourth-year guy who could come back as a super senior. It looks like he's going to go. Don't blame him at all. But the bigger story is the guys that aren't going to be honored on Senior Day. The guys who are essentially telling you, I think I'm going to come back. Guys that would be eligible to leave that aren't participating in Senior Day. Guys like Sevyn Banks. Looks like he's going to come back. He's probably starting corner next year. Tremont Shorts, from the transfer from East Tennessee State. He'll come back next year for a super senior season. Greg Brooks. How impactful has Greg Brooks been this year? Safety, nickel, whatever it may be. He's been awesome. Jay Bramblett, the punter. Looks like he's coming back. John Emery, 4 years, could very easily go pro and try his... Look, missed a year and 2 games. Would be totally understandable if he said, you know what, man, I'm just going to call it a career and go. Looks like he may be coming back as well. You're going to get all those guys back, plus the underclassmen who I just ran through, and you're going to add what's already the 4th-ranked class in college football, and not done yet. And I'm here to tell you, when the transfer portal window opens, and that's December the 5th, the day after the playoff rankings are revealed, and I'm going to tell you LSU is going to be active. And there are some highly touted players. While coaches can't tamper, coaches can't go recruit other players on other rosters, there's nothing to stop a dude on LSU's roster from making a phone call to a buddy who he played high school football with, was on the camp circuit, took recruiting visits with, and said, hey, we got something special going on at LSU over here. Come join us. I think that's going to happen, too. And then the big one, obviously, is Jaden Daniels. Can you get Jaden back for another year? If all of that happens, y'all, I'm telling you, LSU is preseason top 10. They are on a lot of people's lists of college football favorites. And Jaden Daniels, a Heisman Trophy candidate early in the season. You are talking about the potential recreation of the scenario from 2019. Now, let me stop you. I'm not saying they're going to be the greatest offense ever and the greatest college football team ever. What I mean is a team that very clearly in 2018 was on the ascent. Got a whole bunch of guys back. The guys that played a bunch and grew in 18 hit their pinnacle in 19, and you supplemented with some great freshmen. Derek Stingley among them. We know the names. And you won a natty. It's not far-fetched to think, I'm not saying they're going to be the best team ever. Don't misunderstand me. But just as far as the scenario, getting a bunch of dudes to return, supplement your veterans with a lot of experience with freshmen coming in and now some transfers, you're talking about a potential really special 2023 if you get all these guys back. We're going to see it. Honor the guys that are going to be recognized on senior night, but pay attention to the guys that are choosing not to participate because they're coming back hungry for more. That's pretty awesome. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.